You're on a business trip. You guys are businessmen. You're doing your thing. You're traveling. You meet this beautiful girl. She's classy. She's successful. She's smart. You really enjoy her company. She's 27 years old. She's an accountant. She makes $100 grand a year, and she has a 3-year-old son. The good news is he's potty trained. Where do you gentlemen with no kids that I know about go from here?
What it feels like to date a single mama. Hello there, and welcome back to Date Restricted. And in this case study video, we're going to be diving into single mothers over here in the West and just exactly what that means for guys that are trying to date over here in the West. So over here, we've had this stigma of guys that once they hit 30, then their only options are single mothers and just older women in general. Well, that's a lot of what feminism wanted everybody to think, because as we've seen in some of the previous videos done here, they don't exactly like it when men have preferences, and not just when men have preferences, regardless of what age they're at, but when men have the power to exercise those preferences that essentially exclude the previous two options mentioned a moment ago from the pool of options that we're willing to explore. And what this generally means is that we're left with a lot of those women trying to find whatever way they can possibly have in order to bring those options back into their fold by whatever means necessary, which is where you see a lot of the shame, insults, guilt, need to be right, assault, and lies kinds of strategies coming into play. Well, I can tell you right now, having been overseas and taken a look at some of the options that exist over there, and also for that matter, seeing a lot of fellow brothers taking the opportunity to really explore different options. The whole scenario of men just settling for single mothers and settling in general because we know full well what our worth is and what our options are is not the same as it may have been 10, 15, heck even 5, 20 years ago. It's just not the same anymore. Guys understand now that they have options and that we're free to explore those options however we see fit. When it comes to a lot of the single mothers here, and however what means they became single mothers being completely and utterly irrelevant in the sense, but the fact of the matter is, of course, we know that everybody is trying to look for love however which way they can find it. When it comes to the thought of a man getting with a single mother, there's a lot of risk involved. Risk is such the child not being yours, coming upon whatever years that child's in, where they're thinking, where's dad, who are you, you can't discipline me, you're not my father. Or the mother, of course, thinking, okay, I'm still gonna put my child first, I'm coming second, you're coming last, I just need somebody to help me out and get around and about. And having grown up around an environment like that to a certain extent, at certain points in my lifetime, I can definitely tell you a lot of those thoughts are indeed, and actions are indeed what happened. And so we see in this particular situation a panel of gentlemen and a panel of ladies. A few of them are single mothers, and they're basically going to give you their thoughts on just exactly where the dynamics are with these guys who just so happen to be guys of means, and these ladies who've got their situations that they lay down with regards to the panel and what they're willing to put out there in terms of their personal life. Let's see just how all this unfolds, and let's see just how all the disconnects between the communication of men and women in these particular situations comes together. So let's turn it on over to how things comes about here in this panel.
McQueen.
She's done. She's just getting hit and that's it.
So you're banging her?
Yeah, for sure.
And then what happens?
I mean, sayonara, bitch,
Would you like her to get in her pants, or would you be like, yeah, I'm only here to fuck? Like.
Well, I mean, if I do I know that she has a kid from the get-go?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Then yeah, no. I mean, I'm just immediately just trying to fuck. That's it for sure.
That's
No,
it.
but would
So
you
that
tell
is-
her that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
David, you meet this girl. What do you do?
I made this mistake last time. and found out the hard way. It's actually kind of how I came upon some of these podcasts about the red pill stuff. Yeah.
What was the situation?
I'm sorry.
Single mom, had been divorced. I think the problem is that men look at that very differently than the women do. It's hard to get our perspectives to be aligned, right? So her perspective was very defensive. It wasn't, I made bad choices in life that brought me here. I'm grateful someone's given me a chance. It was, my kid's amazing, I'm amazing, you're lucky to be here. It was very hard to get on the perspective I had, which was, this is definitely not ideal. I'm going out of my comfort zone. I'm expecting quite a bit of appreciation on it. And they were like, I don't owe you anything.
Thanks, feminism, right? Am I right?
And it was like, that was a bad investment.
Troy,
I second this gentleman's feelings wholeheartedly because I've been in a fairly similar situation in the past where I did step way out of my comfort zone, way out of what I wanted to do in the sense of dating single mothers. And the attitudes that they would give would be some of the nastiest kinds of result that I could have ever imagined receiving from any human being, much less a woman, much less a single woman, whatever the case may have been. It was nasty. And for that level of entitlement and for that level of defensive behavior, more or less, to be what came out of that arrangement when it came to interacting and trying to understand each other, it was one of the early indicators that let me know that the juice was indeed worth the squeeze. And with what I experienced and what I also saw overseas when it came to single mothers, even though I consider them to be a lot more demure and a lot more worth the interaction than a lot of the single mothers here in the West, I can definitely tell you a lot of the same sentiment still remains. So I'm not gonna say don't do it in the sense of, you know, everybody, different strokes, different folks, a lot of people are in different spots in their lives, but at the same time, as far as understanding what you're getting into, get to the bottom of that with a quickness and make sure all expectations are laid out on the table from the get-go so that there's no misconceptions.
You're at the club, you meet this gorgeous girl, you know her situation, she's got the 3-year-old. His name's Dylan, by the way.
Oh, nice.
What are you doing with the girl?
I mean, look, personally for me, I wouldn't want to get into something serious with a woman who has a kid. That's just no disrespect to single mothers. That's just in my life. That's just not something that I would want to take on. So it would have to be casual, and I would make that pretty clear up front.
You'd be up front. You're not going to do the McQueen approach where you just gotcha, bitch.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, look. I mean, the way that I tend to move, I'm not going to be sitting down with her and, you know, if this is kind of a one-night stand situation, sitting down to her, right, just to be clear, these are the terms of our engagement. I'm not going to be that sort of specific about it, but she's going to kind of know from my vibe. She's going to get the idea, because I'm traveling a lot anyway, do you know what I mean? So the whole setup is not going to be one that is likely to be leading towards something long-term. But so that would be my answer. I mean, effectively the same as McQueen's, but I'd probably soften the blow a little
Kevin,
bit.
do you have a different response?
I don't avoid single moms. I've dated a few single moms, but I've found a selfish trait amongst most of them. There's not one single mom that I haven't dated who has not said something to the effect of, you know, what's important about you being around is I want my kid to see his or her mother being loved right. And I'm like, what do you want, fucking make out in front of the kid? He's already confused enough as it is. He's wondering, where's dad and who the fuck is this? That's all the kid is wondering. Any of us that had step parents and shit, most of us met our step parents like 3 o'clock in the morning, somebody's drunk, and it's like, son, Jim is here because your father ain't shit. And it's like very confusing. So I really do take children and their youth and upbringing and innocence very serious. So really, I don't give a shit what the mom wants. I'm thinking in terms of like, what's best for the kid that you have. I'll think for your kid before you do and think all this is gonna bring him is confusion. You need to completely keep these worlds separate. If you're gonna fuck with
So you're saying that she should not date anymore?
No.
Or she should stay with the guy?
No,
What's your
but a lot
solution?
of them are probably not you because you're, you know, a savage
I was like,
and
I'm
shit.
very
Yeah, no, I know you're
invested in
different in
this
every way, and that's
situation.
why everybody loves you. But I mean, no, but this eagerness to like find the replacement stepdaddy thing is, I've never not come.
Last question for the guy.
That's a W from this gent. He explained exactly some of the things that guys like me went through when we were children, in the sense that that was exactly what the thought process was as a child, seeing, you know, a step parent come through, or a soon to be step parent come through the house, and you're sitting there wondering, where's your father? Just what's going on? Just what in the world's happening that this stranger is now the person I'm going to have to get used to being around. and all of a sudden I'm supposed to treat that person like family. That's exactly what goes on, and I've also had to treat that same situation in the sense of why I don't usually date single mothers, why guys in general are not going towards single mothers as a first option. Because we're thinking not only about the relationship with the mother, we're thinking about just what's going on as far as the family in general that's within the immediate vicinity from the mother's side of things. And with that, we don't want to make it awkward for the folks that where our presence is going to wind up impacting, most notably the children, and just exactly how they're going to be reacting to such.
And then I'm going to turn it over to the girls. Would it be different, would you have a different perspective if you actually had a kid already?
Yeah.
So you're almost doing like a Brady Bunch situation.
Yeah, but I
These
don't.
guys don't.
No.
So, no?
No.
So you're just not trying to raise someone else's kid?
No, because it's like, now, if I have my own kid, now I got 2 little niggas I gotta take care of.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that.
And same thing. Now my kid's wondering where's mom and who's this thought.
Got it. Okay.
Same thing.
Troy, if you had a
Confuse the
kid, would you
children.
be a little more comfortable?
No, because I came from a, you know, my parents divorced, and then we got sort of put together into another family, and I mean, you know, that was problematic. It's not always like Kevin was saying. I mean, when you think about the kids in these situations being brought up, you know, that there can be a lot of problems in those situations. So I would be very, even if I had a kid, I'd be very wary about just sort of like
Gotcha.
shoving
Ladies,
it together.
Here's where I need your help. How many people here have kids? Tracy? Janelle?
Put a green
So there's 2 of you ladies.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't look around. Look right at me. Raise your red or your green. Should men date single moms? Hold it up high. Hold it up high. Pixie, we have. Okay, guys, I don't flicker it.
They're in between.
We have red, we have green, 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 green. So most of it is green. 4 or 5 of you is red. So Tracy, you put your green up because you're a single mom.
Yes.
Sell us on why one of these gentlemen should be your new boy toy, baby daddy situation.
No, I think that there's people in the world for everybody. I don't think anyone should be my son's father. I think someone that's gonna come to my life will love me and eventually end up loving my son, but I am not looking for a baby daddy. I am looking for a partner.
I'm listening
And
very
that's the
closely to this
difference.
one.
So
nobody's replacing that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So what would you say to the guy that's like, I don't even know, you're hot, you're cool, you're great. I can't even get over the fact that you have a kid, and as dope as you are, I'm mentally blocked.
then
That's kinda
that
what you're
means that
saying
that's not the person for me.
Not
Got
quite
it.
what I was saying, but go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I jump on with
Sure.
Yeah, he's not the guy for you, but then again, let's also ask another question. If the son's feelings about whomever you're bringing into his life are immaterial compared to your feelings towards that man, especially in the sense of him being just a partner to you and not a daddy to your child or anything above that much, why bring another guy into your life in the first place that would give your child the misconception that that was happening at all? That makes no sense. What do you need another man in your life for if all of that really is the case? It makes no sense. And on top of that, you're making light of the fact that the man is stepping well out of his comfort zone to go in an environment where you've already got a child in the equation from somebody else, and yet that apparently doesn't really seem to mean something to you in terms of that kind of a mental hurdle that needs to be cleared.
Because I have a lot to say, and I'll be brief, but I want to make a few points. First of all, you guys are all obviously talented and very much so respected in your fields, including yourself, and I know your battle with having children back and forth. But
What's my battle?
Well, you said you're ambivalent.
I'm gonna have kids one day.
Yeah,
with
one day. But like
with
when you were always like asking your friends, you really like it, like you know.
What's sex, guys? I've never heard of this
Anyway.
thing.
Uh-oh, I sense one of them female setups where they dress you up with compliments only to dress you down with the kind of language I was talking about earlier. Wonder if that's what's about to happen.
What are you doing with this?
Complimenting us because you're about
They're
to say
naked.
something
I have
fucked
no
up.
clue.
I'll say
Yeah.
first of all, as there's a lot of single moms who have given single moms like myself a really bad rap, and they use men for resources, and they put their children before their serious committed persons, whoever, if they're married or not, before their needs, like their spouse's needs, right? And I don't agree with that if it's a long-term serious thing. So I think that that's to be said for why probably a lot of you, and more reason you said I don't want to raise two kids, and that's honest, and I appreciate that. However, what I will say, the men that I've met and that I've dated and that have proposed to me, they wanted to marry me and they wanted to be a stepfather to my son if I wanted that, right? Now, the thing about me that's different from most women is, even though I'm very masculine in how I'm speaking now, because I'm trying to make a point, I'm very feminine, and I let the man take the lead. And I don't try to say, my son and I are so cool, we're the best. No, I let a man be gracious to me because I'm feminine and I serve his needs. I make sure his sexual needs are served. I make sure that his tummy is full. And my son never goes without, trust me. He's been to 14, 15 countries already. Yeah. So I think the difference is that some men, no disrespect to y'all, are not cut out for that, because it takes a very extremely high alpha man, I think, that would be willing to say, listen, I saw all of you grimace. I watched all your facial expressions. Hold on, let me finish. Let me finish momentarily.
And there it is, right on cue. It never fails. Oh man, it's a good thing she's dressed up in that red, because and her fingernails red. That just goes to show just what kind of a red flag she really and truly is. Oh man, she had every ounce of the sign language going right there. She went ahead and let it fly. She finally just said that, you know, those that don't commit to single mothers right there are not alpha men. And then she goes on to mention that all the men that have proposed to her while she was in her single motherhood. Notice how the key word is proposed, past tense, meaning that she doesn't have a ring on it from any one of them, which means the men that she considers to be high value, the alpha kinds of guys, she's passed or had not had it work out with any single one of them. That should tell you everything you need to know. And then also, she's leading on about the accomplishments of saying that her son's been to however many countries, all these countries. Nobody cares. We don't care. That's another masculine trait, leading with accomplishment. We don't care. If you've sent your son to this many countries, if you're so accomplished as an adult, as a functioning adult, in the sense that you've given birth and you've done all this for your son, why do you need a man to come into your life? You know, why didn't it work out with the son's father? This is amazing. This is trademark single mother psychobabble about them trying to shame guys that don't have single mothers as any kind of a preference in order to try and convince them to bring them back your way. Just like it was mentioned earlier in the video. Shame, insults, guilt, the need to be right, assault, and lies. You can easily tell just from the way this woman was trying to deliver her point, the way that she tried to dress everything up only for it to wind up the way that it did, that she is the kind of person, this is the kind of testament that needs to be shown on just exactly what you can expect with single mothers, on why that juice in general is not worth the squeeze.
That will be willing to step in and raise someone else's son. That takes a very brave, bold man, and there are men out there in the world who will do it when they see the value of a woman that's serving them and saying, listen, yes.
Did you?
Incorrect. That's what you call a cleanup, bro, and that's exactly what alpha men are not.
Say that there were men that openly came into your life and wanted to help raise your kid?
Yes.
Where are they now?
Well, I was going to tell you.
Why didn't they make the cut?
Well, first
Them niggas are so alpha.
hold on. First of all, I didn't choose that, and here's why. And I won't get into my personal. I'll just give you one example. He's very famous. He's in the personal development world. He's on Tony Robbins' stage, more than Tony is. So if you know the Tony Robbins world, you know who he is, and he's your color. Anyways, he was a lot older than me, and he didn't want to have more children, and I do. I'm going to have at least 1 or 2 more. So for me, that was, he was very invested in my son, but I said, you know what? I'm waiting for that person who wants to build our own family too. He adopts my son and we have one together. And so that's what I'm doing. And so I'm right now choosing to give my son a beautiful life. He travels with me around the world. I run my business. He gets to go to my retreats, etc. And that's what I do. And so I know I'm rare, but I do think it's a huge missed opportunity that men are passing on really good single moms like myself because they feel some type of way about it. And like she said, that's your prerogative. But you're also missing the most feminine, nurturing woman on the planet, or that I've been told.
Oh man, this chick really lives well out of reality, doesn't she? Let's just be honest. Men are not passing on single mothers because they're passing on some really great nurturing women. They're passing on single mothers because the juice ain't worth the squeeze in terms of what would come out of it, especially in the sense of the arrangement not working. You know, if we get married and I adopt your child, I'm on the hook for child support now. Whoever was the father of that child beforehand, assuming they're still alive and assuming, of course, even if they weren't a baby daddy, that they weren't married to the mother in the first place, now I'm the one on the hook and I'm the one who's gonna be paying child support on that, what ends up in divorce. And now I'm gonna wind up being the fool who ignored the signs that were always there saying, danger, do not do this. And surely enough, my life is ravaged and my life is done. And then if that winds up happening, my relationship that I could have potentially built up with that child is gone now, tarnished. You can't make any of this up. She's completely ignoring all of what's coming from the guy's perspective in the sense of what it would mean for them from all aspects of the arrangement going down at all. And that's what single mothers do.
That a girl. Troy, and then I'm gonna come back to you ladies for a question. Go ahead.
Listen, I completely respect what you said, and you know, you're a very inspiring woman, and it's great to hear you say that. I mean, my comment on that is, firstly, what you're doing is what a lot of women will do, which is kind of recontextualizing what alpha is. So I'll say, no, an alpha man, you know, a stepdad is a man who steps up. You know, the guy who's prepared to take on my children, that's my definition of alpha. Okay, so you're defining alpha as that. Is that the actual objective definition of alpha? Maybe not. Maybe you could argue that the guy who just goes around the world and smashes a load of girls and has a fantastic time, is that not alpha? You would argue not, because that's irresponsible, but that's another type of alpha. So that's the first thing. Secondly, I was actually on another podcast last night. I'm talking to one of the girls there. She's got a couple of kids, okay? And she said that she's just recently got together with a dude, okay? They've been together 2 months. It's a long distance relationship, okay? Because he's in a different state. And he's already said to her, I want to marry you and I want to look after your kids after 2 months. Is that the action of an alpha male? Or is that the action of a guy who's needy and is saying that because he's desperate to secure the box?
That's different from my scenario. We dated
completely different to your scenario.
But
I'm just saying that somebody saying I'm prepared to look after your kids is not in itself necessarily indicative of alpha traits. It could actually be indicative of the opposite.
Let me get McQueen's thoughts here. McQueen, are you being sold on becoming?
No, he's not. He doesn't want.
Absolutely not.
He doesn't want to take care.
I'm not hearing none of this shit, really.
You got the simplest answers.
Yeah,
you're not playing this game.
No, because it's just like, how you gonna tell me I'm not alpha because I don't want to raise your fucking kids? You know what I'm saying? Like, all right.
He doesn't want to raise his own.
Yeah, like, all right, fine.
I feel like a really solid alpha it can put up a really good risk-benefit analysis, right?
There you go.
So if the woman is a great exception to the rule, you freaking head over heels more than anything you've ever felt in your life, that could be different.
Yeah.
But for the average single mother that you meet, a very basic risk-benefit analysis that you could look on data that's already available, you could look at the situation that you're presented with, probably not the safest route to go.
I think the truth is that's what we're all doing.
And that's what
right, and that's a normal thing to do. That's a responsible thing to do, and I think that's what an alpha would do at the end of the day.
No one's telling the other side that this shows up as a debit on the ledger, so you're going to have to make up for it in another side because that's distasteful. It creates an argument, and I think we grimace.
Well, a lot of people do that. I mean, they'll say, "Oh, that I don't count because I have a kid," and I'm like, "That you don't count because you said that comment."
There's lots of things that aren't ideal.
But it's also you can make educated decisions.
Most women in their 20s, and I will surpass all of them in regards to the characteristics that I bring to a man and to his life.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man, but you're not selling me at all. If anything, you're showcasing exactly why it's best to go in the opposite direction in every way. She and the other lady that responded, talking about cost-benefit analysis. The cost-benefit analysis is painfully obvious in terms of what that would mean for a guy that would be coming in. It's really not that deep and it's not that complicated. It benefits the woman more than anything when she finds another man with children already, with her having the children, if that is, as opposed to the man coming in with a clean slate. And you've got Miss Red once again talking about how she would bring a lot more vitality to the relationship than the younger version of herself that's childless. That's once again not true at all. It's a whole lot less risk involved getting with a girl that doesn't have any children to bring to the table already from another relationship. That's obvious. You cannot compete with the younger version of yourself that's childless. And less baggage, less drama, and just less problems overall. It is impossible for you to sit there and say that you can do that at that age. And no man worth their salt is gonna hear that. And a lot of these guys have already let her know that a lot of what she's been crying, this sounds a whole lot like the Sierra's prayer scenario. It's falling on deaf ears. And it's a good thing too, because guys have woken up to this nonsense.
Let me get Tracy back in the mix, because Tracy, you're so nice and sweet. And you have a kid. How old is your kid?
My son is 4.
Your son is 4?
Yeah.
What's it been like bringing dudes around your kid?
I don't bring dudes around my
Ever?
kid. Ever.
That's the
Never.
answer, I'd say.
So no guy has...
I have my friends, people that he knows growing up, but I do not bring men that are temporary in my life around my son.
Okay, so what would it take to, like, how quickly do you tell a guy you have a kid?
Right away.
Right away?
Yeah.
I think that's smart.
Good girl, yeah.
There's no
You have
point
to.
if he's just like, yeah, I'm out.
It's like
I'm
if you have an
not
STI.
looking for somebody to think I don't have that. I'm proud of that.
I think
As you should be.
Yeah, I don't
No
need
doubt.
it.
You
Yeah.
should not feel
If it's
shame because you have a
like I
kid.
said,
That should be the proudest thing you have.
100%. I am.
Right.
That's the
Yeah, because that's
best
part
thing
of the
I've
problem
ever
is
done.
that everyone talks about the #1 job a woman should have. The most important job is being a mother. Now, relationships sometimes don't work out, but you shouldn't be shamed because you have a kid. You should be definitely proud of having your kid. But how complicated is it finding a partner as being a single mother?
Well, it all depends on where you are in your life, right? Because for me personally, I'm in a point in my life right now where I'm not looking. Yes, I'm single. I'm not looking. I'm expecting for when I'm ready emotionally to bring somebody on board, that will come with it. So whenever that happens is when I'll allow that space
So last
for
piece
myself.
of advice before we move on. There's dudes out there. Like, I'll give you one story. I was seeing this girl, was like on 1 or 2, I didn't really realize she had a kid, but then I found out she did. But I was like, you know, this girl's that awesome of a girl. Hold on, Tiff. There's that awesome of a girl that I was like, you know what? Let me give it a shot. Let me see where this goes.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see. You know, we hung out one time, it was great. The second time we go to hang out, she goes, hey, sorry, I have to cancel. Both of my kids are sick.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry to cancel. I'm like, it's not even you canceling, it's because Dylan over here got a tummy ache, and I stay over there, woman. Nope, she's there. Stay there. It's that she got canceled. She canceled because of her kid. I'm like, this is really weird. I'm out. I hope your kid feels better. Here's some Tums for the tummy ache. Peace out. Boom. So that was the problem. So what's your final piece of advice to guys considering dating a single mother?
Go for it.
Well,
Go for it.
No.
Her first or me? Her
Go
first.
ahead. Her and then Janelle, final word.
so for me is you
Running. Better start running. Running. Sprinting. Yes, I just gotta keep sprinting.
have to take a lot into consideration that a woman, the child doesn't make her. So, you know, a woman can give you a lot of things, and what a woman with a kid can give you is a lot of experience. So you won't have to deal with the bullshit because we've been through that already. So
Got
we're
it.
very straightforward, and we'll get to the point. We want what we want, and that's it.
I feel like it's
Experience that we do not want.
mother will prioritize their kid no matter what, though, right? And so for a man, if you're not okay with that, if you want to be number one, you're not going to be down with
Because
that.
even in conventional...
Hold on. We gotta go to the next one. Janelle, final word,
Yes.
10 seconds. Why
Okay.
should a guy sell me on dating a single mother? 10 seconds.
Here's why. Because a lot of men are dissatisfied in their sexual life when they get into committed long-term relationships. Women are selfless. They pushed a child almost 8 pounds out of their yoni with no drugs. We are selfless. So we'll be that much more selfless with my partner. I treat my partner the same way I do my son, minus the sexual
So what
side.
Lord have mercy, she still just doesn't get it. Just because you are able to give birth, that does not in any way, shape, or form make you selfless. That just simply means you're a functioning adult female that's able to do perform the biological functions, rather, that an adult female is able to perform. Nothing more, nothing less. It does not mean anything else. It's a serious misconception that just because you can give birth, that means you're nurturing, that means you are a lot more selfless, that makes you so much more than any other creature. It does not. And on top of all that, it takes two to make that process happen in the first place. It doesn't mean you just do that spontaneously and it just happens. Otherwise, this conversation will be completely and utterly null and void, now wouldn't it?
Understanding is single moms better be a little more frisky in order to keep that man alive.
What I'm saying is they have the ability to be very selfless and put that man first.
Every guy that has a kid with his wife is screaming right now saying that's not what happened.
I said they have the ability to.
Because even in conventional marriages, there's often the case where the husband will say, no, the sex has tailed off, now we've had the kid, and now it's all about the kid and it's not about me anymore.
Correct, but the point is that a lot of women today, modern women, feminists, are very selfish, and you're not even getting that.
Guys,
you're getting what they want.
Thank you.
Yeah, on that note, I'm just gonna make this as plain and simple as I possibly can. Just get your passports and bolt, guys. It is no point whatsoever in letting this be the only option that you have for a relationship, because as you can see, just from speaking with them and trying to get to a point where we can all just get our opinions and our points out there, the juice is just not worth that kind of strain at all. And you've got more options than having to put up with the fact that there's just so much nuance to getting around a single mother, and we are going to go further in depth on this in future case studies. So on that note, I'd like to thank every single one of you for watching. Thank you so much. Remember to like, follow, subscribe to the channel, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. And you just found out yet another reason why we restrict our dates. See you on the next one.